So let's get into our content. Feel the fear and do it anyway. I had a question this morning from somebody on if we were going to get the author to show up next week. And I let them know that I would hit the Ouija board and talk to some mediums and see if we can make that happen. Because believe it or not, this book, I forget what year it was originally printed. She passed away over 12 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Are you recording? Here we are in this content that is so timely. So today, the return of the optimist, getting back to that attitude and energy of looking for what's right rather than what's wrong. Something that I have been blessed to subscribe to for a long time. What are you guys taking away? I heard somebody speak up.
Hey, Russ, are you recording?
Yes, I am recording. Thank you for asking, Judy. 2 minutes and 4 seconds in.
Now I see it. Okay.
Awesome. What else you guys have from the content other than making sure Coach is doing what he's supposed to be doing? Yeah, Evelyn, what do you got?
Okay. I remember being called Pollyanna. You're just a Pollyanna. I never, ever knew what that was until I read the bottom of the page. And I thought, okay. But I like the sentence, positive thinking is one of the most difficult of all concepts to get across to people. And I do believe that. And I'm working on that.
Well, folks have been just so ingrained for so long to look for the negative, to go to the no. It started early on. In fact, the first word probably each and every one of you learned was no.
Yes.
And then we get to school and we're in kindergarten. We take a 50-question test and the teacher doesn't celebrate all the things we did right, all 49. It's the one we got wrong that gets pointed out and talked about and hammered on. And so it's part of our ingrain, which is why people respond the way they do. And yet I love when the author finally had her shift and somebody says, "Oh, you're such a Pollyanna." And her response was, "What's so terrible about Pollyanna anyway?" You know, it's so much fun in this very first page, how she's talking about how easy it is for people to go to the negative and say, well, being optimistic, being positive is wrong. And when you ask them, they can't tell you why. And then when you talk about being negative and ask what the motivation on that is, they can't really tell you why. They only just say, well, it's realistic. In fact, how many of you have used realistic as a filter for goals, as a filter for what you're going to expect out of life, as a filter for maybe even how your day's going to go? I've got a great quote I'm going to look up for you guys while the next person speaks up about what else did you pull from the content.
Well, to add to that, Coach, I don't know if it's in this chapter or a little bit further. She even talks about where she relates realistic with negative and realistic with a negative outcome and when you're thinking really in a big goal, she thinks that is a negative. I forget something along those lines where she's like one is a negative and one was a positive on the realistic thinking. Saying, oh, well, that's not realistic, and making it a negative as well, saying the negative outcome is the realistic part.
Yeah, it's so ingrained that's it. And I love this George Bernard Shaw, because can we equate realistic with reasonableness? In our culture, when people say realistic, they also think it's reasonable. And so George Bernard Shaw, one of my favorite quotes, the reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. When it comes to positive, you guys are being unreasonable compared to everybody else. and how much better is your life going to be because of it. Client, you have something to add?
Absolutely. I
You know,
absolutely agree with that.
my pastor actually wrote a book, Unrealistic Faith, because his basic thing is, why should we be realistic?
Yeah.
And I just fell out. He said, so what about that is good for you? What about that benefits you? What about that helps you? Why should you be normal? You know? And it's just really just interesting. So when you said that, I just remembered, yeah, he wrote that book about that. It's like, why should you be? You know, what about that's good for you? Nothing.
Absolutely, man.
I
If
I
you
want to
want to
make
throw
a
a
comment
scripture
about
at
it.
that,
I
Go ahead.
love it. This is awesome, by the way. I got like 4 people speaking up, and it makes me grin ear to ear. So give me a quick paw. Doug, I saw you. I think Judy's next.
Yep.
Go, Judy.
I was just going to say, if you want to throw a scripture on that, nothing is impossible with God. So why should we limit ourselves?
That abso-freaking-lutely. Think about that biblical principle of that's optimism. Nothing is impossible. And yet we live differently. Who else now? There were lots of people speaking up. Give me a paw. Now you're all going to be mom. Really?
Jeanette, go. Jeanette.
Okay, look at it when you're starting to get into aging. Dorothy is an amazing, anybody who's over 60. And there's enough of us here. I just want to say your life is different by your attitude right now, and taking it forward. If you choose to be realistic compared to what the medical community is saying, and this concern, if you're listening to the TV all the time, you're going, oh, well, do I have that? Sometimes this challenge of self-diagnosis, you're so busy worrying about what's wrong that you buy into the problems. And I'm an optimistic realist. If anybody wants to go with that, because I am real. The word, it's like you said, the word is real. I do not have a limitation except in me. So I am not. Why hesitate? I've grown more in that opportunity mindset, even in the last time since we started this book club, because I've been given more tools than I ever had before. So a place like this of people who are exploring and expanding themselves, and whatever your faith is, whatever your realizations are, it's just awesome. There's so much ahead. There's not.
Yeah. Can I tweak one thing in your language, Jeanette, to shift a lot of stuff? Because when you were created, and this is for all of you, because we've all seen a newborn child, did you arrive as a perfect, wonderful being of light with everything possible?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So these limitations that you say are only inside me, I want you guys to change are only on me. It's the baggage you've picked up.
Sure.
It's just on you. It's blocking all that light. It's on you. And all you have to do is let go and put it down and change the story. Because what's inside you is what Coach Russ and Coach Robert want to see. What's inside you, the true you, is what we want you to just let out with fire and fury. And watch the magic happen in every aspect of your life when you allow yourself to be you at the highest level possible. Who else?
Well, yes. Good morning.
Good morning, Alessandra.
I highlighted this part that says, how do you even begin to turn around these miserable thoughts that take away your power? You begin by doing the same thing you would do if your body was out of shape. you create an exercise program, in this case, to retrain your mind. To do so, you must take action. So basically, we're so used to blame everybody else for what's going on in our life, and also we don't take much responsibility, and we are very negative the way we talk and what we tell ourselves. So I think that, yeah, it's very interesting that like we have to step by step, little by little, start programming ourselves, our minds, to be more positive and put aside that victim mentality and just take action. But it takes some kind of training, some kind of paying attention to what we think and what we say, and start retraining that.
So let's explore that a little, Alessandra, because right here, starting on page 68 in the new tome, I know Celeste has got a good original volume. There is a 9-step workout program for this.
Mm-hmm.
And let's just see how difficult this is. Number 1, get an audio player. Who here would have trouble getting an audio player? Right? We already carry it around with us. We got it.
Record on your phone or something.
Number 2, an array of audio material for creating a positive view on life.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, Google.
Audible.
There's so much free stuff out there that you could literally every morning, right now, as part of your morning ritual, grab something and just let it plug in.
Mm-hmm.
And hold on a moment, because I am staying mute. I love having the power.
Hey, Russ.
Yeah.
Before you go through here, I want to pull in something from the last book we read. Chris
Awesome.
Voss. When he says, whenever you're negotiating a yes, you follow that with a how. Yes, I'll give you the money. How am I supposed to do that? Right? And this is like a negotiation with ourselves. Yes, we're going to get out of this fear thinking. How are we going to do it? And now we've got a recipe.
Yeah. And one of my favorites that isn't totally laid in here, and yet I want to have a conversation about it. First of all, it says reading material that's positive in nature. How many of you have started doing that?
Oh, we already did.
Exactly. You're here.
With you.
And then having discussions about it. By being here, you're already on this optimist path. You're already doing chunks of the work. Now, can we always plus what we do? Yes. And yet I want you guys to celebrate that this chapter, you are already taking action on. And it makes me smile ear to ear. What else you guys have out of the content?
I'll take something else.
Go Caesar and then Kara.
To add to Alessandra, when she was talking about how we talk negatively, and specifically in page 71, it says to out-talk your negativity, because we all will have a negative thought here and there, but the point is to get the more positive ones. And I'm re-listening to like Ninja Selling, and it reminds me of a part there where he talked about the 60-40 in that mindset, and then you'll be like 1.5 times productive, and then you get to like the 80-20, 4 times productive. And it reminds me of this, where again our negativity could be in that 60-40 negative to positive. We just have to flip it to 50-50 then 60, and just all of a sudden where we're overcoming the negative thoughts and we're becoming more positive, and that light will always triumph the darkness, as I've heard many people say.
Yeah, awesome, Caesar. Going back to that content, I believe what he's actually talking about there is what's known as the net positive forward thrust ratio. I think that's what it's called. It's all part of aviation, where you have multiple forces running on a plane, including thrust and drag. And if it's 50-50, if they're even, that plane ain't getting off the ground. You have to have more forward, more positive, 60-40 to get it off the ground. And then you're only at about a 1.5 ratio. Yet you keep working, you get to 70-30. Now you're like a 2+ positive ratio. And then you work some more, get to 80-20. Now you're 4 times positive ratio. It's a hockey stick, like so many other things we're working on, that you keep time on task over time, getting better and better. And all of a sudden, 4 years from now, you're an overnight success because you've been staying on it, doing the work. Kara, you had something.
Evelyn, I think you and I are probably similar, that people always called you a Pollyanna. I have been told so many times by my own family that I'm toxically positive.
Mercy. Wow.
Congratulations. That's
I
great.
would rather be toxically positive than negative, I would think. But toward the end of the chapter, I really like what it says. Yes, there's pain in our own lives. We all experience loss and disappointment. No one is immune. The real positive thinking allows the tears to flow, always knowing we will get to the other side of the pain and live a beautiful and productive life. So this like acknowledges the pain that real life does bring and the realism that, you know, Jeanette was talking about. But being able to see the other side of it and to be able to tell someone who said, this is not good. You're toxic. You're too positive. To be able to kind of put that on them and say, okay, yeah, life can suck sometimes, but look past that, because if you're not looking past that, I think you're being toxically negative.
Hey, Kara, you're irritating their demons. You ever heard that term before?
Yeah, my sister's own demons.
And I don't mean it in a super negative way, but it's like, you know, I whatever it is that you have, I am not equipped to deal with it. I am not equipped to deal with what you have and the light that you're coming past me with. And so I either have to remove you, or shield myself so I can continue to function in my limited self. And people have told me that, well, why are you so bubbly? Why? And I'm like, okay, so you woke up this morning, right? Yeah, I woke up. Your kids are alive, right? Yeah, my kids are alive. You have a job, right? Yeah. House is there. Yeah. So my question to you is, why are you not so bubbly?
Mhm.
You know, hit them back with that, because it's like, I'm wondering why you have this wonderful thing called life and you're not so bubbly. Talk to me about that. That's what I want to know.
Can I add something? Because I'm like chomping at the bit here. I have found myself removing people that were negative in my life. And I've done it for a long time. And I think it would be it would not be right for me not to say that I was in charge of doing that. I was in charge to decide, I don't want to hang with those people. Whatever that is, I don't want that in my life. That's why I show up here every morning, because I get to start my day with people I want to be in the room with. So I feel like I wish more people would realize what's going on in this room, because it's not just a book club. It's people that I enjoy being around. I like hearing them. I like their thoughts. But I also am choosing not to be with those that I don't want to hang with.
So let me ask you something, because you said something very important. You said, I'm in charge.
Mm-hmm.
What might be another word for that? A single word that sums that up.
Oh, come on. Control.
Oh, come on. Come on. What else might it be?
Look at this
Grateful.
power.
Right?
Power.
It's
I'm
right
in
in the
power.
content. You
Yeah.
literally, running this pain to power chart, you have said no more. You have taken the power and you're
Right.
clearing it out. And we all have that ability. That's the best part about this and the content we're working right now. Every single one of you has the total power and authority. You just got to start leaning into it. I love that Celeste is making these choices of separating people out of her life. Whoever spoke,
Did you see in the comments?
I
what
haven't
someone
yet.
just
I'm
said?
bouncing all over.
The comment somebody just said that sometimes client said it. Sometimes that removal includes family too. And I have been very fortunate because I don't have much of the negativity in my family. As a matter of fact, I'm very lucky about that. But I hear him because I do
Yeah.
have other family. Thankfully, they're not my family anymore. Just kidding. Um, but yeah, you have to be very watchful of who are you hanging out with.
And here's a key piece of this I want to talk about. First of all, is Kara, because I wanted to loop back to this for Kara. What the end of this chapter acknowledged was shit happens. And now it's what you do with that that makes the difference of positive or negative. And even talked in there that there may be a time of grief, and then you go through that grief, you get to the other side, and you get back on go in the right direction. Those things are going to happen. It's okay. Life exists. And last time I checked, nobody is getting out of this one alive. Okay. We know that. That being said, now what we're working on here is really shifting that thought process. So family, I want to address the family piece because maybe all of us have somebody that's very close that also brings some negativity. And so you got a couple of choices there. One is just build some distance. It doesn't mean absolutely excommunicating them, and yet build some distance. So I've got a brother who is a significant challenge in my world, and there is distance there. His daughter's getting married in 2 weeks. I will absolutely be at the wedding, and yet I don't choose to spend a lot of time there because there's some energy there that doesn't work. And so we're not just wholesaling, clear cutting. There may be folks because of other relationships, like my mom, that we're going to keep stuff distant and cordial, where we're not sucking in that energy. Okay. I don't want somebody to go, I'm taking charge today and I'm never talking to my sister again. Okay. Let's add just a little bit of grace. All right. What
Can
else
I
you guys
throw
think?
one more thing in?
Of course.
So kind of back to Kara's thing and Evelyn too, as being part of the Pollyanna Club myself, one thing I learned over time is if someone would bring a problem to me, I would immediately go into, well, what's the good thing out of that? What did you learn from that? What's the positive thing? And I would get this, Pollyanna deal. So now what I do is I acknowledge their feeling and what they're sharing before I say, okay, so where can we go from here? So that's just a little tip when you're dealing with your negative Nellies.
Awesome. By the way, powerful questions, always a good tool. Chad, I think you were going to speak up. I saw you light up at least. Is anybody else not hearing Chad?
Yeah, he's muted.
Your mic is on, but there's something else. How about now, Chad? So it's interesting because you are lighting up, yet I'm not hearing you.
The headset plugged in?
Well, the headset the green on the screen shows that something's happening. So you may have to log out, log back in. Maybe the system does some funky things. It looks like you're typing in chat, which is great.
Can anyone read words or mouse?
Yeah, I'm not a good lip reader. Play with that, Chad, and if you come blow us out, it's okay. Who else?
I just wanted to add, Kara, I appreciate your words. Are you wanting to vent or do you want solutions? And as we were reading, there's what's the book that we were given when we got married, Doug? Anyway, the point being that there's a lot of times people do just want to vent. And it's a good question, Kara. They do want to vent. They're not ready for the solutions, or as they blow off the steam, then they start moving to the solutions. And like Judy said here, so, let them speak there a little bit and then move into the next portion of it so that they can, so that they know they've been heard, because that's an important part. That let them know they've been heard. Then they can trust you and you can start the next questions. So that's That's really, really valuable.
In a previous
process.
book, we had someone, I forget which book, that had, in essence, event clock, allowing themselves as well to have the pity party, to go negative, yet it was a timer. It's going to be 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it was time specific. And once that time ran, we were done. Because one of the challenges on that, yes, I just want to vent, and then they want to drag you into their negativity over the next hour and a half. So if we're going to, and this is a fun one, especially, gentlemen, how many of you, when the spouse vents, you immediately go to solution? Right? Yeah. That's why this came up in your marriage, because guys are, oh, you brought me a problem. Let's fix it. And so
That's where I got it from.
Yeah, creating this window of time for yourselves and for others. So you, again, give them grace, yet there's a box around it. That's all I would recommend in this piece. So guys, 10:30, I love that this chapter got you guys fired up. I love that we are seeing more new faces in the room. Grandpa Chad dropped out. Jenna Lee's still here though. Love seeing you. Julie, I saw you come in. Camera off now. Guys, love having you here. Love pouring into you. We're wrapping this up next Friday, so make sure you've got the new book. Today is Wednesday, so we have the blessing, absolute blessing of Maria in Wired Wednesdays from 1 to 2 o'clock today, right here in the Renegade Room. So if you want help with your KV core, you want that one-on-one coaching from an expert, get back in here. I'd recommend, as a coach, that you guys are doing that every single week, because you should be working on your database every week. There's a simple way that forces you to do it by showing up Wednesdays with Maria, listening to her counsel, and implementing in the moment. So love y'all. We will see you.
What are we reading for tomorrow?
The next chapter.
And what's the next book, Coach?
The next book is The Ultimate Sales Machine. Chet Holmes and his daughter, Amanda Holmes. And so that's going to start on the 22nd. And then after that, boys and girls, we are going to do
Is it chapter 4 that we're doing tomorrow?
I think we're on chapter 6 tomorrow.
6.
Chapter 6. Okay.
That being said, just so you guys know, there is a brand new John Maxwell book coming out.
Oh, yeah.
On leadership. I think it's the 12 rules of leadership, or the 12
Called the High Road Leadership.
High Road Leadership.
Leadership.
Yep. And so it will be coming out on May 7th. My goal was to start at May 7th. That being said, I think the Ultimate Sales Machine is going to be a long investment of time. I think we're probably going to spend 3 weeks in the Ultimate Sales Machine really implementing. That is a skill set book, and I want to make sure you guys are nailing it. So I'm willing to push Maxwell back a little bit, though the John Maxwell High Road Leadership will be the next one. Okay? Any other questions?
Russ, that book was Gap in the Gain.
Gap in the Gain talked about the moan window, huh? Okay, perfect.
Yep. Okay.
Here's what I love. We're all picking up nuggets. We're all internalizing them, and that's why this room is so powerful for your growth. And thanks for all being here.